What is up, guys? Welcome to my channel. It's Dino here, and today is new camera day. I got a little excited ahead of time and started opening it up, and I was like, maybe I should show it on my channel. I've been waiting for this one to come out. Shout out to Costco for your awesome prices. Let's see what comes in this cool little case. Let's see. Got a GoPro. Pretty sweet. It's light. Got 2 batteries, a cable, rig, little mount thing, and got an SD card in there. Little hand grip mount to carry around. I'm really excited about this. I hear the stabilization on this camera has been pretty sweet. For the last 4 years, I've been using this little knockoff, which does the job, I guess. It's in 4K. You'll see some of the footage on my Brazil videos. And it's done the job. It's cool. It's cheap, but yeah, the quality is definitely no GoPro. If you're in the LA area and you want to try a pre-GoPro before taking the leap and buying the real thing, this thing's on OfferUp for cheap. It's like I said, it does the job. It's a great camera. Well, I am pretty excited about this. We're going up to Santa Barbara tomorrow, so you will see some GoPro footage. I am stoked. So once again, welcome to my channel. I am Dino, and today I thought I'd talk a little bit more about who I am and why I've started a channel. One of the reasons I made this channel was for people who have traveled a lot, have moved between cultures, or are moving between cultures, and are learning how to adapt and going through experiences that maybe you're not prepared for. And as I was growing up, moving through different countries, I wish that I had a channel out there or some source of information that would have helped me through a lot of those experiences and help me navigate those experiences quicker. And you know, a couple years later, many years later, I'm still in some ways deciphering those experiences. And I just thought I'd make a channel where I could share some of that information with anyone out there who might be going through the same thing. I'm a third culture kid, and there are a lot of videos out there explaining what that is. In short, third culture kid is referring to somebody who has been raised in a different environment to their home environment. So for me, I was born in an Indian family, but my external environments were American and British. And so I kind of made up that third culture. Technically it'd be fourth, but the term third culture just applies to anyone who has a different home environment to their external environment. And this could be within the same country. Countries like India, America, China are so vast. Say if you move to the city from the countryside, it's going to be a very different culture. And what you've come from is going to look a lot different. And so learning how to navigate the emotions and the experiences that you're going to face can be tricky. So in the light of all of that, here's a little bit about me. I was born in northeast India in a little town called Silchar on the other side of Bangladesh. So this is a fairly remote part of India. So to this day, that part of India is still fairly remote. There's wild animals, there's jungles, there's small villages, remote villages that you would have to take a bus, to go pretty far to get out there. And that's where I was born. So from Silchar, when I was about 4 years old, my family and we flew to South Carolina, the complete end of the spectrum in some ways, and very similar in terms of being country. And we were there for a few years, after which we flew to Calcutta. We spent a few more years in that city, and Calcutta is on the west side of Bangladesh. It is a former state of Bangladesh. I believe it split when India became independent, or when Bangladesh became independent from India. And we spent a few years there, after which we flew back to the States, and we spent a few more years in the States. And then we moved to the UK, and we were there for about 10 years, after which I moved to Chicago and then moved to LA. So there's a lot of moves in there. There's a lot of life experiences. I look back on my time in each of those countries and it feels like a completely different lifetime. It feels like a different person. And navigating those different experiences has been a challenge, it's been a joy. It's what's molded me to the person that I am today. And that's what I would love to bring to the channel. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and charge this bad boy. I'm gonna get some bomb footage tomorrow in Santa Barbara. So we'll see you there. Welcome back. I just checked out the footage from yesterday, and man, this camera's pretty sweet. So I'm just finishing up the edit on a Florida video that I'll be posting end of this week. And so I decided to take a lunch break and make some Indian style egg rolls. So today, gonna make some Indian style egg rolls while I talk to you guys about a little bit more about getting to know me. I actually got this idea from my sister-in-law. If you want to check out her vlog page, it's La Casa de Katie. I'll put her link in the description box if you're interested in learning more about stuff like foster care or adoption, and how they've gone through that journey. She's got a cool channel there, so you can go check that out. But yeah, Indian style egg rolls. This is actually a street food you can get in most Indian cities. Actually, I couldn't find it that much in South India, although I'm sure they had it. In Calcutta, there's street food everywhere where I grew up. And Indian style street egg rolls are amazing. And they'll usually fill them up with, you know, chilies and different kinds of meat or potatoes if you're vegetarian. What are my top 3 favorite places that I've traveled? Let's see. Right off the top of my head, I gotta say Turkey was definitely one. We were just in the capital for 5 days, but it was gorgeous. We were right on the ocean. We had an Airbnb right there on the ocean. And then the food too was really interesting because there's a combination of Asian and Western. So you have like pasta, but with spices and yogurt. It's called Monty, this one dish. It was so good. Second place, probably, this might sound like a bit of a cliche, but Hawaii, as they say it, was just incredible. I mean, the view, the place is magical. We only were on Oahu for, I think it's about 10 days or 8 days. We went hiking every day. The food is a combination of just American and Asian, East Asian. So you'll get stuff for breakfast like Korean beef and pancakes. There's no Indian or Mexican, just Asian and American. It's such a cool combination of food. It was the first time I had mochi there too, which was delicious. These are Thai chilies. Sometimes they're hot, sometimes they're not. They're okay. You can throw in habaneros too, which are really good. And then the cucumbers for the filling later. And you can. I like to fry the chilies, but you can also throw the chilies in with the cucumber. People, especially if you're Indian, people do both. Use tomatoes, cucumbers, onions as filler with chili sauce if it's still not hot enough for you. And then the third place would probably have to be Brazil. The second time I went there, my in-laws took us on like this adventure package up the west border. Part 1 of the videos is already up of Brazil, and you can see where we went along the coast. The first part is in Iguazu Falls, which is gorgeous. But yeah, I'll post number 2 pretty soon, and you guys can see the rest of our adventure. But that has to be in my top 3 easily. I'd probably say the Brazil adventure was probably my favorite. It was just so much fun. So the next one would be, what is one travel item that you will not travel without? I've got to say it's my power adapter. It's got like plugs from every country. It's got plugs from different countries. I think there's like 7 of them. And it has USB ports. It has a ton of power options. It is awesome. I would not go anywhere without at that thing. Alright. Throwing a little bit of paprika. Some salt. What are the favorite things? What are some favorite things about each of the countries that I've lived in? What are favorite things about each country I've lived in? That's a huge question. But off the top of my head, let's go in order. India. I mean, family. Most of my family still live there, so that would be a first thing. That's my favorite about that country. All my family live there. The food. It's one thing that's really interesting that I realized later in life was that in India, Western food is a novelty because, you know, burgers and pizzas, or at least it used to be, not so much anymore because the availability of everything. But in my head growing up, I thought, you know, there's so much flavor in the food here, it's got to be like this everywhere in the world. And then I realized, nope. There are very, very few countries where the flavor is as plentiful as India. I'm trying to think, just because of the variety of spices, probably the most comparable in what little I've traveled is Chinese, Thai, and Jamaican food, and Mexican food. Mexican food, they use so many different kinds of peppers for different flavors. Jamaican food is amazing, and they're known for their Scotch bonnet flavors. In terms of spices and the variety, I gotta say India's up there, and that's probably my favorite thing about that culture. Also, communal culture is huge in India, where the community comes first, and while that's not necessarily better, it's a different perspective that I really enjoyed being part of. I'll actually use a spoon this time. My favorite thing about the US, the US is still kind of like the Wild Wild West in some regards. You know, guns are very easy to buy here. There's not as much regulation on businesses. You know, as much as people don't believe it, there's still an aspect of the American dream that I believe is still existent today. America's still the land of opportunity, in my opinion. So I just use a regular tortilla, store-bought. I know, not as authentic, but in India they use roti, parota. You can use that stuff to make the egg roll. These are pre-bought, super easy to get. My homemade roti doesn't come out that great, and it takes me forever to make it. So a favorite thing about the UK would probably have to be the people. British people are very reserved. If you stick around a certain community, a group of friends, they will make an effort to get to know you. You know, and it takes a while. It'll take maybe 2 or 3 years to actually get to know people. But once you're in, you are a family. You're family for life. And I feel like in the States, you can know someone for 10 years, you know, and never really know them because that intentionality for community, I think, is not there. I find that pretty common in a lot of countries, in a lot of Western countries. People aren't as intentional, but the UK seems to be one of them. And so that was definitely one of my favorite things about the UK is people there would still consider us family, even though I've been out here in the States for quite a few years now. Next question. We're almost done here. You can see all the chilies and the onions here. It's all gotten together. It's hot, ready to go. I'm just gonna load up the plate now. Here's another question. What is my favorite kind of food? That's really hard. That's a really difficult one. I'm just gonna go easy off the top of my head and say Bengali food. There's really nothing like home cooking, I'm sure. As most of you I'm sure as many of you would agree that what the food that you ate growing up is probably your favorite. There's nothing like your parents' home cooking. Both my parents are incredible cooks. I grew up in a house where we all cooked. My parents taught me to cook from a young age. Alright guys, and that's it. Sometimes vendors will add spicy potatoes, or they'll add chicken or meat, salad. It's kind of like a taco burrito, but Indian style with the egg. And right now I've added cucumber, spring onions. I'm going to add some leftover beef from last night and some hot sauce. Alright, good to go. Well, thanks for hanging out with me, guys, and watching me cook. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like if you like the video. We'll catch you soon.